Hey guys, Ishan here. Today I just wanted to talk about a few things which I've been observing. I've been seeing. I think pretty much everyone is seeing in the music industry, but nobody's really talking about it. Or even if they're talking, it's in like small communities or like friends talking to each other kind of situation. And this is specifically about the music production side of it, composition side of it, not really the performance or the DJing side of it, which I don't want to talk about today. But they obviously go hand in hand. So let's start off with a little bit of history about music. I don't want to go too far off where synthesizers were invented, but let's say when they were starting to become a little more experimented on, like let's talk about underground resistance, Mad Mike. We have Jeff Mills, of course, Drexia, right? So, and on the other side we also had pioneers of IDM music and ambient electronica such as um, Autica, Music, Aphex Twin, of course. So what was all that about? Like, it's just timeless. The music is timeless. They had a cause of making music. They had very limited amount of synthesizers, drum machines, sequences at home. They didn't have 200 300 things like plugins or samples lying around in their library. And they just the thing was that they were very limited to things they can use, but they made things which were timeless. Now if you look at Drexia's The Quest um, album, you can still play those tunes in a club, or listen to them, um, and they will work very well. The electro tracks in that, like, they might just work out on the floor and it feels like it was just fresh. It feels timeless. It feels like, something which you can connect with, and not something which is disposable. Um, so that's about it. And now where are we heading from there? We still keep them as examples in our productions, and like, we look up to them, we want to go and watch their sets. But when it comes to making music, what are we even doing? Like, how are we dealing with the originality aspect of it? Or is it like an external factor which is kind of promoting us to go in a certain way that we are not able to make something original or timeless? So I just wanted to address these concerns of myself, which I think is an open dialogue with anyone who's watching this video right now, and just talk about it, that why something is happening. By the way, I've been teaching music production for almost 4+ years right now on Ableton and FL Studio, and we teach in a very classroom setup and not really on the online space. However, online is something which is dominating right now in the teaching space, and we'll get back to that as well. But just a little bit of background about me, right? Let's start talking about the originality aspect. And like I said, or I just mentioned before, nothing is really original. That is something we all know. Everything is a copy of a copy. It's about how you steal that and develop into your own idea, is what makes you unique, right? So it's like cooking. You just take a recipe and then add your own twist, add your own flavors, or add your own spices from your motherland. And that's what's gonna get it into that original spot. Now, when the problem which I think is with music production right now, as of 2024, is we have abundance of tutorials which are trying to tell us what to use, how to be like someone, for example, how to make a track like XYZ artists, or how to use XYZ plugin to find a certain sound, all these kind of things, and not really a lot of things which talk about how to develop your own sound. Because I think most of the times the channels are run, uh, they are definitely artistic, but they are run because music has become a commodity, and the things which are selling right now, the things which are in trend, uh, are the things which people listen to and then they want to make like that. So there's a supply and demand kind of market going on, and I don't really think that's a great thing, because it just lets you not explore what you like, but rather throw you into this pit where you want to be like someone else, or you want to reproduce the sounds which already someone has done, and you fall in this trap of not being original, right? Now, how to be original? Again, I'm not gonna talk about that. This video is mostly purely about, like a open dialogue, and as a interesting way of looking at things, how and where they are. More like a news report. I don't know if that's the right term. So that's that part. The next thing is the overwhelming feeling when we're just sitting in front of the computer and we're watching thousands of videos again. Or even with your friends, like you have 10 of your friends, you say that I like this compressor, he says you like that compressor, and everything just becomes too much information for us. And the point is that all this information doesn't lead anywhere, because of the fact that there's so many options now that you're overwhelmed with choices, that you cannot even tell what you want at this moment, and you end up using or buying something which was promoted by XYZ YouTuber, or like a forum, or like some sort of a website, or maybe the plugin is trending, the DAW is trending, the sample pack is trending, and you end up buying it because maybe you got overwhelmed with the amount of information and you got maybe pulled into buying something. So that's another market on YouTube, on short form content, reels, media, and TikToks, whatever that is going on. That there's so many plugins, there's so many packs which you can use to make the same thing. You're pretty much making the same thing with adding new tools to your catalog. Also, these tools are pretty expensive a lot of times. So it's not like there are not free tools. Free tools also can be overwhelming if you, let's say, download like some 20 some compressors. But what are you going to do with them if you don't even know how to use them? And I don't even know a single producer in my whole friends list who uses 20 compressors at all. Like, they're like max to max 4 to 5 of them, which are specifically used for certain purposes. And that's about it. But I know that how the market is. There's a lot of money in the music production space right now, because of the fact that there are more people coming in to learn it. And there's a lot of companies which are making exciting plugins just so that you can buy them and use them. But if you know the most primitive ones and how to use them also, you can somewhat get a very similar sound for what you're aiming for. For example, we have someone known as Air Windows, and Melda Productions have a free bundle, although they also have a paid pack. We have Analog Obsession, and we have so many people who are making such cool things. But it's a lot of times the videos which kind of grasp our attention and throws us in this space where we don't even know that what are we doing, and we end up buying things or consuming. It's the consumer mentality. Okay, the next thing, again, I'm gonna focus a lot more about education. So education in music production space right now is good and bad at the same times. You have ample of production videos, how to learn something, like I mentioned previously, but you also have a lot of scattered information. There's no particular way of knowing how to use the whole process from 1 to 100. That's what I have seen at least. And there used to be these the trend of having, like, having a series of videos, like 100 videos about production, how to learn production. But since we're going into more Patreon side and Twitch side, or just some sort of a exchange of monetary value, um, we're kind of having this scattered kind of information all around. And I'm not saying Patreon is bad. Definitely Patreon is good, and you should support people who are doing these kind of things, that they're putting up their courses on Patreon. But let's say people who don't have anything to afford out of these kind of things, I would rather suggest them to probably go through each topic once, and rather, just watching one YouTuber's all the things. Some people just say this is the best setting to use a saturator or a sidechain compression. Now that's not the right way. I think we all know that every song, every kick drum, every sub bass, every bass is different in terms of tones, length of the kick. So the side chaining is always going to be different. But it's just a shortcut, easy way. So better than going about just learning these shortcuts or maybe scattered information, try to focus on a lot more descriptive learning, or like in in in-depth kind of learning, experience about things. And yeah, I think that it also has something to do with, again, overwhelming amount of videos which are coming up on YouTube. I really love those videos better than the tutorials, which are just live streams of 2 hours long, just some YouTuber doing his thing. He's just producing his music, and that's about it. And yeah. And finally, I want to come to a few more things, which are the effects of social media. Right. So the effects of social media are very comparative. They just make you feel like a no one in the beginning, because you just see so many things which are like popping up, and you can become ambitious sometimes because of them, that someone's playing somewhere and you want to be like them. But a lot of times, again, it's information overload and distracts you from really making music, in and just throws you in this space where you feel like you're not good enough. Sometimes you'll see a lot of times there are producers with, like, let's say 100 followers, 200 followers, and you have also just started off, and they're making some really good tunes, but you're not making some good tunes. So you'll be like, okay, they have the same amount of followers, but how come, he's maybe like a newbie, but he's also making some crazy tunes, but I'm not. So it really doesn't work that way. Like, maybe it's just a burner account, maybe it's just an alias of a big artist, you never know. But you start doing these comparative kind of analysis with others who are maybe a few years ahead of you, or you just start getting distracted also, because there's a lot more than just music. Music is probably the last thing which Instagram cares about, I think, or any sort of artistic space. Yeah, so you just get trapped in this whole space of following a lot of distractions, and not really understanding or focusing on what you came for. Connections are a really good thing which you can make on the social media with your peers and other producers, DJs, etc. But I think it has a lot more negative impact on your mind. So just try to think about it once, and where it's leading you if you have a social media account. And yeah, finally, I want to talk about the streaming platform situation right now in 2024. So streaming platforms are all about the metrics right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. But what we can do is we can pull out of there. I know that the most of the consumer base is on Spotify and other platforms, but the point is that the amount of problems, or the amount of numbers they want out of you for a track which probably won't blow up that much like how a pop or a hip hop track kind of blows up. If for them also it should be like a commercial artist who's on a pretty big space or like a marketing plan. So yeah, it's very difficult to kind of get into the streaming platform space, especially when you know that they've been paying pennies to all the artists since a long time right now. And it doesn't even make sense to support them at this point and just keep your music over there. I have some music from the past, but the last EP which I had put out, it's not on any of the platforms. Rather, I would suggest you to just probably use SoundCloud. YouTube is also great because you at least get some good amount of money out of that. And Bandcamp is definitely the place where you should be. It's very grim and dark right now, and I want to go back to the first thing which I spoke is about the times when things were kind of simpler. For example, underground resistance again, they had limited access to gear, they had limited access to the information of learning something. So what they did was they experimented with what they had rather than getting some more things, some new things. And they didn't have any tutorials like how to sound like, let's say, Marvin Gaye from that time, or like Michael Jackson or Prince, for example. But they just experimented a lot with the sounds which they had in at their disposal. It can take a lot more time than learning the easy way of how to reproduce something which is similar to someone else, but it definitely leads you on to a place where you feel good about your music, you feel good about your craft and art. And yeah, that's kind of it. So yeah, these are some of the things which I wanted to just put through and I wanted to talk to you guys about. And it's an open dialogue. I would love to have you guys, talk about this with me in the comments or wherever. I don't even know if this video will reach a lot of audience, but I hope it does. And yeah, that's it. Cheers. So keep making things original, keep struggling, keep going for it, and try to not get distracted in the process of making music, which is for you and it's an art form and not really a commodity. Thank you.